My fellow traders, what's happening? I hope you guys had a great day today. I was a little bit crazy for me. There were a couple of stocks that did really, really good, like Roku made a really nice move today. But if you weren't in it, if you weren't watching them, you missed it. And my watch list today didn't really give a whole lot of opportunities. As I sit back and look at the trades, one, to start off the day probably wasn't the smartest of trades. But we'll get into that here in a second. I want to share this thought with you real quick. The most important step you'll ever take is the next step, whether it be forward or stepping back. That's the most important step, because I know sometimes we sit there, we think about it, and we go through and we try to figure out, is this the right move, is this not the right move, and a lot of times we overthink and our feet are like stuck in concrete, and we're not going forward, we're not going backwards, we're not doing anything, and we can't allow that to happen. So the main thing is, look, don't let anybody else talk you out of doing anything that you feel you want to do. Don't you talk yourself out of it, because sometimes we can overthink and talk ourselves out of it. And sometimes in order to go forward, we may have to take a step back. And I have several people in the community that I've worked with that when they came in, they had to take a step back. They took a step back and started over again, started from the beginning. And they were so grateful that they did that, because they were able to pick up a lot of the things that they missed or didn't get, and this helped propel them forward. And they haven't had to take a step back yet. So it doesn't matter whether it's a step forward or a step back. Realize that that's going to be the most important step that you're taking. And I'm not saying take it lightly, but don't overthink it. Don't talk yourself out of it. Don't let others talk you out of it, because the worst thing you can do is stand there and let that concrete harden around your feet, and you'll be stuck there the rest of your life. All right, so let's take a look at today. We look at the SPY, and you can see we open with a very nice gap up. Typically, when we open with this kind of gap up, we pull back. I talked about it yesterday. I talked about it Sunday. And that's kind of what we did today. And I kept saying this morning that this market just felt heavy. It didn't, even though it gapped up, it looked a strong, it just felt heavy. It could have been a bear trap, who knew? But it just felt heavy to me. And so that's why I said be careful. A couple of swings triggered an entry, but I didn't take it. I didn't go there because, like I said, the market just didn't feel right. And, it pretty much played out according to plan. But you could see we didn't really lose a whole lot of ground. We're still well over that 320, 340 level that we broke yesterday. So just a little pullback today. Tomorrow is going to be interesting. I think some news came out about the trade deal not happening until possibly after the election, and then only if Trump felt he wanted to do it. But I don't know if that's what tanked it. I wasn't listening. Some people said that something came out about the worker tax credit, is not going to make it into the bill, which I don't think is a big deal, because the tax credit will help your paychecks a little bit bigger, but do you actually think you're not going to pay it? When you do your income taxes, that's where it's going to come out. So, for me, I don't really care one way or the other, but I guess that's a big talking point right now. But you could see, here's where it happened. And it just so happens that I was in a trade to the long side at the time. And Of course, you know what that did to it, but um, we've kind of recovered a little bit now. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see where we open up tomorrow. Are we going to grind back up to 326, 327, or we're going to keep fading here? So really looking forward to tomorrow. And a lot of people ask me, do I know what's going to happen next? What do I think the market's going to do? I don't care. I don't have a clue, and I don't care. Because whatever it does tomorrow, that's what I'm going to trade. So I could care less whether it gaps up or gaps down. I'm just going to trade what it is. And that's what we traders do. Swing traders, yeah, you know that you got to kind of have an idea of what it might do. But at this point, anything can come out and that can move the market. So if you're in swing trades, you have to be ready to, bail on them if the market dictates. And make sure that you are taking profit, that you're locking in profit along the way at strategic points. So all that's going to be very, very important. All right, so let's look at my crazy day here. And here's the first trade that I told you I took. Why the hell would I short the bottom of that long candle? Have no idea why. Tunnel vision, and it just didn't work out. I was looking for it to get to the 200 here, and it was making a decent move. And I was probably within 10 or 15 cent range of where I just would have clicked it. But it just didn't get there, and I ended up stopping out. I didn't wait for it to hit my max stop or anything like that. I just took it off. And it's funny because it opened down here. This candle, it ran up, stopped me out, came all the way back, and opened down here and almost got to the level I was looking for before it pushed back up. So of course that was frustrating. But the biggest mistake I made, other than entering where I did, was having an expectation of this is exactly what this stock's going to do. This is what I'm going to take. But you can't have that expectation. The only expectation you're going to have is the trade's going to do one or two things. It's going to hit my profit target, or it's going to hit my stop. And that's the only expectation that you really need to have at that point. And, I realized it, and I had to kind of get that out of my head. So I waited, and I thought about getting in as soon as we broke the 200, but I wanted to wait and get a close and then wait for a confirmation. And I did. I got in on the confirmation. We had a nice sell, was looking for 124.50, and it turned right around on me, and it just never came back. Ended up stopping out. And so I decided, okay, it's time. We're over the 200. Let's flip it long. I got a nice window up here to the VWAP. So I was able to take profit once, and that was that. Pull back, and I had my stop in place. But evidently, well, it did. When I got back to the computer, it showed that it rejected. It had the yellow thing, and it said, the order was rejected. And I don't know why, but I'm glad it did, because it allowed me to get to the next target. But then I had everything set, and then all of a sudden we get this crazy candle here that just washes out and hits my stop with slippage, and then turns around and runs right back up to where I wanted to go. So of course, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. So we had to shut it down. Even though I made some of the losses back, just had to shut it down and walk away. and said we had to come back this afternoon and kind of see what was happening. I had to leave anyway because I had to take my son to an appointment, but it was just crazy. It was just really, really crazy. And so I waited and waited, and it was like after 2 o'clock, almost 3 o'clock. And I was like, well, yeah, this thing may be getting ready to run now. So we got over VWAP, and all I was doing was looking for a nice scalp move up to here. I was going to take it all off and then wait for it to establish over this and trade the next channel up and get back in a whole nother trade. But this didn't quite make it. Again, came within about 10 cents of where I was looking to take it off. And I was like, okay, well, it's probably going to bounce here. We got all this support. Everything's kind of rising. So I took a quick break. Took a quick bathroom break. I come back, stock's down here. And I didn't put a stop in. All right, I didn't. And I didn't think I needed to at the time. I thought this thing was relatively safe. And instead of panicking out, I've seen this happen before. I've seen the market tank on some news and then regain its composure and go back to where it was going. So I didn't panic out. I had a line in the sand here that I was like, okay, I'm okay with losing this money. I know I can make it back in one day, and I'm just not gonna sweat it. I'm gonna wait and see if this thing comes back. And so that's what I've been doing, and it's been gradually creeping back up. I've got till 8 o'clock tonight to take it off, and it was, getting up to around 179. So kind of working its way back up. It may not get all the way back to 180, but if I could get $1 off the initial entry price, I consider that a win. And what patience and discipline can do once you find yourself in a hole. So kind of worked our way through that. So some of you guys asked about, oh, hold on. So this is where we're at right now. So that's the best case scenario, or unless this thing turns around in the next couple hours and this thing runs up. But we'll just have to wait and see where we end up. So INTC, guys, I sent the email out this morning. This is the one that I'm looking at. I'm looking at trading. I'm trading it the same way I traded FedEx. We took the entry this afternoon. I posted it for those of you that were still there. I didn't take it this morning, even though it triggered. Like I said, the market felt heavy. I wasn't getting in any swing trades this morning. And I said that if this held, I would get in, at the end of the day. And I'm looking for 64 plus. But all of the note, everything is in the email that I sent you. And we're going to go over it Thursday in class and go over this trade regardless of whether it's good or bad or indifferent. We'll talk about it. But INTC, this is the earnings swing trade that we're working on this week. CWH, we took this last week. You can see this is still running. See, this is where the entry was last week where we took profit. I'm looking for 40 on CWH. PayPal, this is the one we got yesterday. Made a nice run yesterday, but gave it almost all back today. But again, this one I said if it held, I don't mind it. Because I said this morning, before the market even opened, we were probably going to get a pullback on this based on the way the market was trading it. The market gapped up. I felt we were going to have a selling event, and that's exactly what we got. But still looking for this to hit the top of this ascending resistance. That's my target. So kind of waiting to see where we get with it. So yeah, and this is the entry on PayPal yesterday. So that's gonna do it for me. I know some of you guys said you wanted me to cover the swing trades whenever I had them, and I'll try to make time and do it and cut time out other places so we don't go too long. But that's where I'm at for this week. Not the best of Tuesdays, but we got hump day tomorrow, and then Thursday and Friday should bring some good weather. So I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, a good night, and I will catch you in the morning.